If I take it out, everybody else is going to start back with Alex. Richie, we're going to start. Okay. Good evening. We are going to call the regular March meeting of the Verona Zoning Board of Adjustment to order at 8:07 p.m. Madam Secretary, would you please read the notice of this meeting and call the roll?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township of Verona Zoning Board of Adjustment, which is being held in person in the ballroom of the Verona Community Center, located at 880 Bloomfield Avenue, Verona. The time and date of this meeting were included in the annual meeting notice posted in the community center and sent to the official newspapers of the township, the Verona Cedar Grove Times and the Star Ledger, at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time. All meetings are recorded. Those wishing to speak during any public comment period should only provide their name and municipality. Street addresses are not required. Please be advised that should a member of the public choose to state their street address, it will not be redacted from this recording. Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mrs. Murphy Braddocks? Mrs. DiBartolo?
Here.
Mr. Mathewson?
Here.
Vice Chair Weston?
Here.
Chair McGinley?
Here.
Board Attorney McGovern? Here. Okay, and Mr. Tenkate is not attending this evening.
Okay. Council, would you be so kind as to swear in our two new members? We have an upgrade from alternate to full member. Mr. Ryan.
We'll start with the regular member. Mr. Ryan, would you please stand?
Yes.
Would you please raise your right hand? I, Kevin Ryan,
I, Kevin Ryan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New
and
Jersey,
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
same
and to the governments
governing
established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of the office of
perform all the duties of the office of
Board of Adjustment member, term expiring June 30th, 2025,
Board of Adjustment member, term expiring on June 30, 2025,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's only the 10th time I've taken that oath.
Okay, yeah, you had it. You can sign that and then I will. All right.
Okay.
Now, please.
It's already up.
Okay, if you would please raise your right hand. I, Edith Reese. I, Edith Reese. Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
That I will bear true faith.
That I will bear true faith.
And allegiance.
And allegiance.
To the same.
To the same.
And to the governments established.
And to the government established.
In the United States.
In the United States.
And in this state.
And in this state.
Under the authority of the people.
Under the authority of the people.
And that I will faithfully.
And that I will faithfully.
Impartially.
And impartially.
And justly.
And justly.
Perform all the duties of.
Perform all the duties of.
The office of.
The office of.
Board of Adjustment alternate number 1.
Board of Adjustment alternate number 1.
Term expiring June 30th, 2024.
Term expiring June 30th, 2024.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Okay, if you could sign that. You just get signed.
Welcome to our new members. If Secretary would adjust the roll so that everyone is on it. And if you would, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, let's start with some general information. This board deals with the issuance of variances from the Verona zoning ordinance. That ordinance establishes specific requirements for the land area in the township and regulates not only the uses permitted, but the size of the lots, setbacks required, parking, signs, conditional uses, and numerous other such regulations. An applicant is never entitled to a variance. Applicants must meet specific criteria contained in the state municipal land use law by satisfying certain legal standards of proof. The burden is on the applicants to show that they should be granted the specific relief requested. Depending on the type of variance requested, applicants will need to prove special reasons, undue hardship, a balance of benefits, and other criteria. These are legal proceedings. Public meeting notices have been published. Neighbors have been notified. Applicants and their representatives will provide sworn testimony and be subject to cross-examination. Any action this board takes at this meeting will be memorialized in a resolution document prepared by our legal counsel that will be reviewed and adopted typically at our next regular meeting. At that time, any variances granted will become effective. That said, we are a board that conducts its business in a fairly informal manner. Applicants are sworn in, tell us what they want to do with their property and what they are asking the board to do. Board members will question witnesses, and then members of the public may question those witnesses. At the conclusion of the testimony, members of the public may make a statement regarding the application. After closing the public portion of the application, the board will deliberate and render a decision. Before we move into our agenda this evening, I need to report that item F2 has requested being carried to the board's April 11th meeting. So we have a request concerning 700 Bloomfield Avenue to be carried to the April 11th meeting, and they have also requested a waiver from the Verona requirement for a court reporter for their D variance application. So at this point, if you're here for that particular application, it will not be heard this evening. It will be heard at the board's April 11th meeting if the board is in agreement with moving that.
As well as the.
Well, it's the board's already represented to council that it was being moved because you only have 5 voting members tonight, where you need, they've requested that, and they are entitled to 7.
Okay.
But the other option about the waiving the court reporter, the board should vote on.
Okay. We have a motion to waive the requirement for a court reporter for their D variance.
I'll make the motion to waive the requirement of the court reporter for application 2024-02.
Good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. First is, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good. Passes unanimously.
So just to be clear, that matter will be moved to the regular meeting of the Verona Zoning Board of Adjustment, which is scheduled for April 11th at 8 p.m. here in the community ballroom.
Community ballroom is good.
Community ballroom. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, moving on with the agenda, we're up to item D, approval of minutes.
That's the one for the Scapos Hospitality,
Yes,
so they're not going to be discussing.
they're not going to be here this evening.
All right, and that's going to be April 11th?
April 11th, same time, same place.
All right, save me. April 11th, 8 p.m., okay. Thank you.
Let us know how the games go.
I'm on my way to work, now I got to run early.
Do you need an excuse?
My clothes smell like a couple of beers on me going up.
Okay,
So April 11th, 8 p.m.
April 11th.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Approval of minutes. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to read the rather extensive minutes from our February 8th meeting, and hopefully you're satisfied that you can move to approve them.
I will move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thank
And I'll
you.
second them.
Perfect. We have a motion and a second on the minutes. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
We have 2 abstentions. Okay. That passes. Resolutions. Also, coming out of the February meeting, we have a resolution on the application on 8789 Fairview Avenue, denying the variance application to construct 2 single-car garages in each of the side yards on the property and 2 trench drains that were proposed, 1 for each garage. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review what was again another lengthy resolution. And I would point out at this point that a yes vote is a vote to deny.
No.
To approve the resolution,
Yes.
and the resolution is to deny the application.
So you're only asking the board members who voted to deny it to approve the resolution, because that was, people who voted in favor of the application are not voting on this resolution. So I think there were.
2. Yeah.
There were two
And
opposed.
You're one to approve a resolution, so you can make the motion and the other one for the second, and then you can.
Ted, I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2024-03 in the matter of the application of Nicholas Tempanaro.
Okay, and I'll second, and I'm going to imagine 2 of those are going to vote yes. Vote yes. Make that look better in the minutes, Kathleen.
Okay. So the rest of us don't have to vote on the
Yeah,
resolution?
It's only the people who voted for the for the resulting application that vote on that resolution.
Okay.
The wording of the
It's a
resolution.
little confusing, but thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's always tough when we do a vote of no.
yeah, when it's a no, it throws things off, because it's,
And just for my own clarification, as I recall, that needed a unanimous
no,
vote?
we needed 5.
5 votes, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We only had
We only
5.
had 5, and there were 2 people who voted no.
Okay,
they
so
missed
that's
the
why
point.
it went down. Gotcha, thank you.
Okay. That brings us all the way down the agenda to item F1, application 2024-01, 144 Elmwood Road. If you'd be so kind as to come up and we don't have to swear in counsel.
No, you don't swear in council, but you know it's okay.
Good evening,
Good evening,
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Alan Trembulac, Montclair Real Estate Law Group, appearing on behalf of the applicants. It's nice to be back in Verona. I haven't been here in a while. Good to see you all. I'm here tonight. We have an application on behalf of John and Kathleen Wessling for a setback variance relating to property at 144 Elmwood Road. It's a corner lot located at the intersection of Elmwood Road and Woodland Avenue. The Westlings have owned this property and lived in this house for 38 years, and they're proposing to construct a small 1-story addition to the rear, on the rear of the house, remove an existing screened porch, and again, replace it with a new 1-story addition, which would contain a family room, bathroom, mudroom, and laundry room. They'll also be removing a garage on the other side of the property and replacing it with a new, slightly larger 2-car garage. We need 1 C variance. It's a rear yard setback variance where your ordinance requires a 30-foot setback, and we're proposing a 6.4-foot setback, which coincidentally is essentially the existing setback of the screened-in porch that will be removed. We need the variance because, this is a corner lot, and as you know, when you have a corner lots typically have 2 front yards, 1 rear yard, 1 side yard. This addition, if you're looking at the house from Elmwood Road, will be on the side of the house, the northerly side of the house, but even though it functions as a side yard, it's considered a rear yard under the zoning ordinance requiring a 30-foot setback. And again, we have an existing non-conforming setback of 6.4 feet, which we're essentially looking to maintain with the new addition. So I have one witness to present this evening, our architect, Paul Sionis, who's also a professional planner. I should note that Mr. and Mrs. Wessling are here in the event there's any questions that they need to answer. So if we could proceed with Paul Sionis. Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
What's your name on the record?
Sure. My name is Paul Sionis, Sionas. My address is 8 Hillside Avenue. I'm the principal architect of Sionis Architecture. It's a 7-person architecture firm that I formed in 1985. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, a licensed landscape architect, and a licensed professional planner. All of my licenses are in good standing. I've testified approximately 250 times in about 30 towns and cities in New Jersey. I was previously accepted and testified in Verona, both at the Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Adjustment, but I think the last time was about 6 years ago. And my firm was the architect for most of the development at Webster Commons at 271 Grove Avenue, including the building for Dr. McCarrick for Vanguard Medical Group. That was probably about 15 years ago.
I'm offering Mr. Sionis as an expert in the field of architecture and also professional planning. The board accepts his qualifications. Thank you.
So for approximately the last 5 years, we've been doing PowerPoint presentations to most planning and zoning boards. Rather than doing the PowerPoint, I've made copies of all of the slides onto 11 by 17 and will distribute it to each of the board members. And then that will be entered as an exhibit. But I'll use those. Basically, this exhibit encompasses the drawings that were filed, but the beauty of doing a PowerPoint presentation is that we could add photographs or color some of the exhibits and also add notes to make it easier for everyone to understand. So I will pass these out.
So we'll mark that as A1, exhibit A1?
How many pages?
12 pages.
12 pages, okay.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, you want to go through the exhibit and review the application?
Okay. Did you mark that as an exhibit?
A1,
Oh, okay.
yes.
All right, so the first page basically is the existing survey map of the property. So the survey was prepared by Alfred Clark Surveyors back in 1982. As was stated, this is a corner lot. It's at the northwest corner of Elmwood Road and Woodland Avenue. The property is about 125 feet by 118 feet. It's rectangular shape. It's 0.34 acres, or about 14,761 square feet. The site has a slight slope from east to west, so it slopes down from Elmwood towards the west of the property. The lot's improved with the existing 2.5-story wood frame house. There's also an attached 2-car garage, a driveway, and various paved walkways. It's in the R60 zone district, and R60 is the medium density single family zone. And as you can see from the survey, much of the house is located in the rear yard setback. So the rear yard setback is shown on the right side of that survey, and I basically did a blue dashed line for the setbacks on the property. You can see that setback line goes just about through the center of the main part of the house, the 2-story section of the house. And it's been like that since the house was built in 1936. The next page, page 2, This is an area map. This was from Google satellite maps. And you can see that the house is located, so basically I surrounded the property with orange lines. And then there's a yellow line to show the border between Verona and Cedar Grove. So the property sits on the border of Verona and Cedar Grove. Cedar Grove is directly to the north. And you can also see from the satellite map that the house is pretty much on the right side or that north side of the property. And then at the lower left side of this page is a snip from the Verona tax map, and I outlined the property in orange. And you can see this property, lot 27, is larger than almost all of the other lots in that area. You can see across the street on the east side of Elmwood, basically it's equal to 2 of the lots across the street. And then same thing on Woodland Avenue. It's almost equal to 2 of the lots, to lots 14 and 15 directly on the south side of Woodland. Next exhibit is page 3. These are street views. The top right is the view of the house from Elmwood Avenue. So this is looking at the front of the house, looking towards the west. And then the bottom left photograph is a view of the house looking north with Woodland Avenue to my back. So this is the side of the house that faces Woodland Avenue. There's an existing 2-car garage. And these photographs were taken in May of 2020. This is basically when we started working on the project. It got held up because of the pandemic, to the point where we're finally here tonight after almost 4 years. So the owners, as Mr. Treminok stated, the owners have lived here for about 38 years. Part of the house was previously used as a dental office. So if you look at the photograph in the bottom, the 1-story portion with the 2 windows just to the right of the garage, that's where there was a dental office prior to these owners living in the house. Page 4 is the rear elevation. This photograph was taken more recently, last September. This is a view from the rear of the house looking northeast from the rear yard. So on the left is an existing screen porch that's original to the house. On the right, that larger window in the first floor is part of their existing kitchen.
Paul, that screen and porch is what's going to be replaced with the proposed addition, correct?
Right. So the subject of this application is the applicants are requesting to remove that existing screen porch and replace it with a year-round family room. And the north side would be exactly where the north side of that screen porch is now. So it would be the same setback. It actually would be 0.3 inches closer because of the angle of that northerly lot line. Next page, page 5. Page 5 is the existing floor plan. So on the top left, you see the existing garage. And one of the aspects of this project is that the owners have asked for a larger garage. The garage is slightly undersized for a 2-car garage. As it says on here, it's 20 feet 1 inches by 18 feet 8 inches, which is small for a 2-car garage. So the proposal is to remove that garage and build a 24-foot by 24-foot 2-car garage that would also be attached to the house. As you can see, there's no connection from the garage into the house right now. As I said, the applicant's preference is to replace that existing screen porch in the top right side of this floor plan with a year-round family room. And again, I drew a dashed blue line where that setback line is. So that dashed blue line is the line of the 30-foot rear yard setback. So because this is a corner property, the front is actually on the side street. And even though the front of the house faces Elmwood, the left side of the house is actually considered the front of the house. So therefore, the rear yard setback is where this blue line is. Okay. Next, page 6. This is the proposed first floor plan. So I've numbered the floor plan. So number 1 is the proposal is to demolish the existing screen porch. Number 2 is to construct a new 1-story enclosed family room that would be open to the kitchen. And again, you can see that the family room wall on the right side, which is the northern wall, that will line up exactly where the screened porch northern wall is currently. The proposal is also to construct a new mudroom. Number 3 is to construct a new mudroom that would connect the garage into the house so they don't have to walk outside from the garage like they have been doing for the last 38 years. So number 3 is to construct a new mudroom addition to connect the garage to the house, along with a laundry room and a bathroom all at this first floor level. So again, the proposal is to demolish that undersized garage and then construct a new 24-foot by 24-foot two-car garage, still 1.5 stories tall like the existing garage is, but it'll be wider than the existing. Next, page 7. The top drawing is the front elevation, and then the bottom drawing is the rear elevation, the back of the house. So the top is what will be seen from Elmwood. The bottom drawing, again, is the rear elevation that indicates that the new family room that will replace the screen porch, the new mudroom to the right of that, plus the new attached garage that would replace the existing garage. The family room is proposed to be a 1-story addition with a low slope or almost a flat roof so as not to disturb the windows on the second floor of the house. And then the roof is to be surrounded by a decorative 30-inch high railing to make it more attractive. Next page, page 8. Page 8 is the top drawing is the north elevation. This is the view from the northern property line. The bottom drawing is the south elevation showing the new garage. So the new siding, the siding on all of this work is to match the existing clapboard siding on the house. And the bottom indicates that the new 2-car garage, that's to replace the existing undersized garage, shows the roof peak will be about 3 feet higher than the existing roof peak on the existing garage, because the garage will be about 5 feet 4 inches wider than the existing garage. So in order to keep the same roof slope like they have now, the garage will be about 3 feet taller than the existing garage. Again, since the garage will be 5 feet 4 inches wider than the existing garage to get it to be a 24-foot by 24-foot garage. Next image is page 9. This is a rendered view looking at the rear of the house, and the 3D view, three-dimensional view, makes it easier to sort of understand what's going on with this. It makes it easier to see and understand that 1-story family room on the left. You could see the new mudroom connector to the right of that family room, and then you could see the larger 2-car garage to the right of that in the drawing. In this 3D rendering, you could easily see that there's a new roof over French doors that will lead from the family room directly outside, so there'll be a roof with 2 columns leading to steps down to a future patio. So my opinion is that visually these additions fit in pretty well with the existing property and the existing house. The next page, page 10, these are 4 different rendered views looking at the house. These were done to look at different angles around the perimeter of the house. We also do this to look at, we did a sun study to see the effect of the sun and shadows on the house at different times of the year. So the top left, for example, is looking from the northwest corner looking down. Top right is looking from the southwest down to the rear of the property. The bottom left is looking from the north at the property. And then bottom right is looking from the southeast, looking almost from the intersection of Elmwood and Woodland. Page number 11 is the proposed site plan, and this is colored for better visibility. So all of these are the same drawings you have in your file, but this site plan was colored to make it easier to see what's going on. So on this colored site plan, you could pretty clearly see the line of the required 30-foot rear yard setback. And so I put a note on there that says line of 30-foot rear yard setback. And again, it's that dashed blue line. So since this is a corner lot, the north side of the property is considered the rear yard, even though the house faces Elmwood Road. And when you stand on Elmwood, it looks like it's the front of the house, but based on zoning, the right side of the north side is the rear yard. And therefore, to match the line of the existing screen porch, it requires a rear yard setback variance. Again, the family room that's to replace the screen porch will align with the existing north wall of the screen porch. However, the family room will extend another 5 feet 3 inches to the west to make this a decent-sized family room. So this will be about a 17-foot by 25-foot family room. Part of that space will contain a breakfast area because this will be open to the kitchen. So they'll finally be able to have a good breakfast room right next to their kitchen. That'll be part of the family room. There's one existing clumped birch tree. There's three equal 8-inch trunks that was proposed to be removed to create a future patio. The owners told me they live directly across the street from Marty O'Boyle, who does most of the landscaping. So my understanding is that he will actually design the patio and the walkway to the driveway from the rear of the house.
Well, just to zero in on the variance while we're looking at this page, I mean, you're maintaining basically the same setback that currently exists on the northerly side there, roughly 6.4 feet, correct?
Correct.
And you're just extending, the structure will be extended, I think you said about 5 feet to the rear along this, basically maintaining the same setback, but extending it another 5 feet.
Right.
But no closer to the property line than what's current.
It works out to approximately 0.3 inches closer because that northerly property line is on a slight angle.
Okay. Okay.
So it's pretty insignificant.
Okay. And that's the only variance, correct?
That's the only variance.
Okay.
The next page, page 12, is a zoning chart or zoning analysis that we have to do for every project. So this chart indicates there's a column of existing conditions, another column for proposed conditions, and the third column on the right is whether those conditions conform or not with the zoning ordinance. And as I've outlined or highlighted in light blue, we need a variance because we don't comply with that requirement of a 30-foot rear yard setback. That north side of the house is set back currently 6.43 feet from the property line. It's required to be 30, but it was built like this in 1936. By extending it 5 feet towards the rear yard or to the west side, it'll have a 6.4 feet at the point where it's closest to the northerly lot line, and therefore that requires a rear yard setback by zoning.
So you're saying this is basically grandfathered in when the zoning law changed since it was already there?
It was
correct?
already there. It was built like this, yes.
Okay.
But now it's a variance request.
Gotcha.
Okay, so talking about a variance request, you want to briefly, put your professional planner hat on and provide testimony as to whether you think the variance request meets the criteria under the municipal land use law.
Sure. So we're seeking relief from Verona's 150-17.3 point E parentheses 5. And I believe that this one variance can be granted both under the positive and the negative criteria. So under the C1 criteria, the existence of this structure, which is already located on this piece of property, creates an exceptional situation that's sufficient to justify a zoning variance. The house, as I said, was built in 1936 with this setback on the north side of the property. The literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in practical difficulty. Nothing can be built within that setback, even though it's existed since the house was constructed. The non-conforming setback of this property makes it a unique situation. So it's logical and practical to match the existing setback on the north side of the house with this family room construction. That screen porch has been here, it has that setback, so we're basically aligning the north wall of the family room that'll take the place of the screen porch with that northerly line of the old screen porch. We're not making the situation worse, as we're not encroaching further into the northerly side yard, or the rear yard, by more than 0.03 feet, which is 0.3 inches. We're keeping the family room to a one-story structure with a low-slope roof, which will have minimal impact on the neighboring properties because we're keeping this roof below those second-floor windows. Under the C2 criteria, the benefits of granting the variance represent planning benefits which outweigh any planning detriment. So the benefits would be the achievement of the purposes of planning under 4055D-2. And there are several that will apply, in my opinion, such as paragraphs I, G, and C. And paragraph I is to promote a desirable visual environment. So we're renovating the back of the house with what I think is an attractive addition. So we're promoting a desirable visual environment. Paragraph G, we're providing sufficient space in an appropriate location for a variety of residential uses and open spaces, public and private, in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. So we're creating this space with little to no impact on neighboring properties. So that meets paragraph G. And then paragraph C in New Jersey land use law is to provide adequate light, air, and open space, again, by designing the space to have a low slope or a flat roof and to be aligned with the existing north wall of the existing house footprint. So we're matching the setback of the existing, and we're not exceeding it. And then as far as the negative criteria, we have to look at, can the variance be granted without causing any detriment to the public good? So in fact, we're preventing detriment by keeping the new construction aligned with the existing north wall of the house. So we're preventing detriment. There'll be a minimal or no impact on the neighboring properties. The house is fairly screened with existing shrubbery all across the west side of the property, and there's a continuous 5-foot-high fence on the northerly lot line. And then, can the variance be granted without causing substantial impairment of the intent of the zone plan of the and the zoning ordinance? In my opinion, yes, because this is a unique lot. As I said, this is a larger lot than almost all of the other lots in the neighborhood. And what appears to be a side yard, as seen from the front of the house, is actually the rear yard, which is what causes the variance request. So that's it for my testimony. I'm happy to answer questions.
Mr. Sionis, it's going to be difficult to ask questions because that was a fantastic presentation.
Oh, thank you. That's nice of you.
We see a lot of presentations, but very few come in as thorough as that particular presentation was.
Well, thank you.
Just for the record, 0.03 feet in inches is less than an inch, correct?
Well, 0.03 feet. 3.6. 3.6 inches.
No.
3. Sorry, we keep doing the math.
It's got to be under an inch.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
under an inch. I'm not good at math.
But again, that's because of the angle of that northerly lot line.
Okay. It would be hard to, okay. Kathleen's doing double duty as our zoning officer.
No.
I just have one question. On page 9, the roof over, that's decorative only, not a rooftop terrace.
Correct.
Correct.
So there's existing windows, no doors are
Okay.
proposed.
Existing windows, no doors. That's
It's
all I
strictly
wanted
for
to know.
looks and to not block those windows.
All right, that's all I need to know.
That was my second question. Are there any other questions of the architect in relationship to the variance requested?
May I ask a question?
Certainly.
Just curious.
About to hold it down? Just a question. The second floor of the new proposed on page 9, that roof that's going to go over the family room there, is that a flat roof?
It's a flat roof.
Totally
There's
flat.
a slight slope, so it'll slope from the existing house towards the backyard.
You say it has a slope to it?
It has a slope, so we will start this, the highest point of the roof will be to the underside of those second floor windows, and then it'll slope down to this rear of that building, rear of the family room.
Okay, because it doesn't look like that here. It looks pretty flat.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, have your clients had an opportunity to review the Verona Environmental Commission?
No, I don't think our clients have seen it, but I have, and Mr. Onis has, and if I could just address it, I mean, clearly we have to comply with your tree removal ordinance, and we will. There's a couple of comments relate to that. And then there's comments relating to stormwater management, and, we're not prepared to address that tonight, but we would typically address that when we come in for building permits, and we're going to have to satisfy the township engineer that we meet the requirements of the stormwater management ordinance, and we fully intend to, and to do whatever is required. And I think the only other comment relates to that also, in terms of the downspout pipes, suggestion that they not be connected to the storm drains and just some water flow along the property. I'm not sure your engineer would agree with that comment. I'm used to seeing every municipal consulting engineer saying just the opposite. They want the roof drains to drain into the storm. But we'll do whatever the engineer requires.
I believe they just changed the stormwater management ordinance to require that any new downspouts drain onto the property and not into the street. I think maybe that's what they're referring to. And I realize that's not the purview of this board.
Yeah.
That's obviously, when you apply for the permits with the construction official, they'll
Sure.
go over that. But both the tree ordinance and the stormwater management ordinance have just recently been, just for your own edification, have been revised. So,
Okay, good
just
to
be
know.
aware of that when you go for the permits.
So we've discussed this with the applicants, and we probably will propose a rain garden in the southwest corner of the property. We've done it on several other projects. New Jersey Native Plant Society has a list of rain garden plants that work well. Basically, the roof leaders would all go underground to connect to the rain garden, and then there would be an overflow pipe that would go out through the curb onto Woodland Avenue.
Okay.
From the rain garden.
And, once again, I'm very sympathetic, as living in a corner house, which is labeled 31 on Elmwood Road, I'm very sympathetic towards, if I sneeze the wrong way, I have to get a variance. So I'm very sympathetic to people with, irregular and small lots. So, and I would second the Chairman's compliment regarding your presentation. It was very thorough. And I, for one, really appreciate the fact that you just covered all the bases.
Thank you. Been doing it for too long.
We have nothing further to present, Mr. Chairman, and I would submit, based on Mr. Sonis's testimony, I think this is a minor variance and easily justifiable under either C1 or C2 criteria.
Okay. Is there anyone on the board who has questions of the applicant? Any further questions of the applicants? If not, is there anyone from the public who has a question of the applicants? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who would like to make a statement about this application? Seeing none, I would move the board to deliberation. Notwithstanding my previous comments on the presentation, is there any discussion to be had at this point? That's when people talk.
the only group that commented, to the best of my knowledge, of our expert commissions and so forth, is the Environmental Commission. And they really readily concede that, all of the plans were properly prepared, and any, the only variance that is needed is the one that, and they have a number of suggestions here. And as I stated, but their suggestions, I think, mostly regard to the construction official getting, approving permits, to do the construction.
That's why I wanted to get it on the record.
Yeah.
The applicant was familiar with the letter.
Yeah, so, I mean, I have no reason not to personally approve the variance.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement. It's a very, I would say, minor encroachment, less than an inch in terms of closer to the setback. I don't have any pause or concern with the application.
Anyone else? I'm not hearing anything. The applicant is aware that they need to have the stormwater management plan, that they need to take care of tree removal ordinance if they need to do that. So at this point, I would entertain a motion on this application.
I will move to approve the applicant's request for the C variance. That the proper way.
Good. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote?
Dr. Reese,
Abstaining.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mrs. DiBartolo,
Yes.
Mr. Mathewson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Weston,
Yes.
Chairman McGinley.
Yes. By my count, the motion passed. We will prepare a resolution at our next meeting and approve it at that point. In the meantime, good luck with your project. Mr. Tremulak, it's a pleasure to see you back here. Please come frequently.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I can go way back to, we go way back. I still have tremors when I walk. So do I, if that's any consolation. And that application is still going on, as you well know, so it's a never-ending application. It's like a 3-year nightmare. Much more pleasant tonight.
No. Jump over that one. Okay. That moves us to number 3, application 2024-04, 68 Forest Avenue. If you would be so kind as to just stand and we'll swear you in.
Okay, please raise your right hand. What you've done, do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please give us your name, spell your last name, and get your brand.
First name, first.
Yeah, take the button.
First name is Christopher. Last name is Ogia, Oghia. My wife and I live at 68 Forest Ave in Verona with our 2 kids, Avery and Jack.
Okay. Feel free to sit down, Mr. Ogia.
I'm going to apologize in advance. I don't have any slides, and this is my first time, so if I mess up on anything procedural, I'm sorry. I'm here today, and thank you guys for meeting with me and chatting with me about this. I'm here today to request 5 variances to install a in-ground pool in my backyard at the property at 68 Forest Ave. The 5 variances that we are requesting are improved lot coverage exceeding the maximum permitted improved lot coverage of 40% per section 150-17.5D4 with the proposed coverage of 57.8%. The second one that we are looking to get is the maximum aggregate area covered by accessory structures in the rear yard is 15% per section 150-17.5 F4. The proposed rear yard coverage we're looking for is 23.4%. The third one we're looking for is the minimum patio setback from property lines being 5 feet. We are proposing, or we're trying to get a variance to have the patio located 0 feet from the side property and 3.3 feet from the rear property. The fourth one that we're looking for is the minimum pool setback from the side and rear property. That's 10 feet, and we're looking for 5.3 feet from the side and 8.1 feet from the rear property line. And the last one is the pool equipment pad. Needs to be located 5 feet from any property line. We're looking for 0.6 feet away from the property line. We admittedly don't have a huge amount of space to work with, so we kind of looked at it like if we could, I guess, design our perfect pool for what we would like. This is kind of where we came up with. Since we've moved in 5 years ago, we've tried to improve our house since we're looking at it like our forever home in every way that we can that we would want it to be perfect, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
When the designer did this, see it's on the topography map, did they, are any of the topography changing as it comes to the property line?
I don't believe so, no. I think it should be pretty flat in the back.
Have you spoken to any of your neighbors, particularly the ones that are your direct neighbors?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
And what was their kind of thoughts, feelings? What did they communicate to you?
They were all for it. Yeah, they're totally cool with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pool barrier has to be 54 inches. So, I don't know if that's, how high is your fence?
It's 6 feet.
It is 6 feet.
Yeah. And there's a gate too.
So if this patio goes right to the property line, because you're saying it's 0, so it's on the property line, then how does the fence then go around the patio?
So the patio would meet the fence, and the fence would kind of be like right here.
The fence is also over onto his neighbor's property line. And I think there's a letter, it looked like in the application, there was a letter that you got permission to have your fence over the line.
Yeah, the fence on the right side, when we're looking at the top view, that was something that we had inherited when we purchased the house. That neighbor actually put that fence up, so they were okay with it. We since installed the fence on the left side to replace one that was broken, and that neighbor on our left is totally okay with it as well.
Since we're in the midst of the radius, the month of March on record, how has your current property handled the water situation, if I can put it that way?
Yeah.
Regarding your own property and the other properties of other yours?
Yeah, we were lucky to inherit French drains in the basement with a pretty good sump pump that so we haven't had any water damage inside the property. It does table a little bit off from the neighbor's yard in the back. I believe the engineer had come up with a system to drain it through. so that it wouldn't cause a problem. But we haven't had any negative effects of the rain.
And none for your neighbors, as far as you can tell, water flowing off your property.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Can you describe the grade changes from Lot 49 down to Forest Avenue?
Sure, so let me, this guy here. I don't have the exact numbers, but I know it does slope down. There's a retaining wall in the very back of the property. So that property on Lot 49 is higher up than ours. It's, I want to make sure I give you the right answer. It definitely slopes down towards the street.
So from the rear of your property towards Forest Avenue?
Yes.
I might be able to help you with that.
Sure.
If the numbers on the survey that we have for your property, it looks as though it says 461.2 up in the Lot 49 on the right side as you look at it, and it looks like it says 446.7 out at the street, which would be about a 14.5-foot slope, and that would be 14.5 in roughly 150 feet, or approximately, I guess, a little less than a 10% slope, which is a considerable slope. We can't build a street in Verona with a 10% slope on it.
Question for our zoning officer. Is this subject to the steep slope requirements as a pool?
I didn't look at this one,
No.
so I would have to go and look at it.
I think
But
there's a caveat in the steep slope that exempts individual properties, interestingly enough, in certain areas. I think that's what it is, or how it would have gotten past Paula.
I'm not sure if it helps or not, but the backyard is very flat. It's I believe midway through our property is when it starts to go down.
Yep. It's obviously a difficult application for us to look at,
I understand, yeah,
considering the previous one, for example,
right.
was half an inch.
Yeah, I understand. This is quite a few.
It's the combination of so many variances on a property. Now, you don't have anything to do, but you have a fence over a property line on one side, and a fence over a property line on the other side. You've got railroad ties that extend into the right-of-way on Forest Avenue in front, and it appears as though your air conditioning units are within the side yard setback already.
On the right, yeah.
You probably inherited that list, but it makes it very tough, and it's not an undersized lot for the area. I'm trying to remember where the calculations were for that, but it's not necessarily an undersized lot, which we would look at as how much more you could fit in on it. And we have to consider it in the scheme of things in the entire town. If we had, the old saying, if we had everybody go up to 45, 50% coverage, town wouldn't be, I think the word is bucolic anymore.
I understand.
And we love if we have some room to move with things. we're looking at a side yard setback of 0.
Yeah, from the
It's-
patio. If we eliminated the patio, would that be something that,
It would be hard to say how many variances we would be able to impact.
And then also, what's the size of the tree that's being removed?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. It's a cherry tree that's, I would say about, this is the height of the first story, slightly above the roof.
I'm concerned that one of the concerns I have is when you actually get to the stormwater remediation phase, at 60% coverage, it may be a fairly significant recommendation that could involve a lot more underground piping and some sort of structures underneath your only existing front yard.
Did you consider reducing the size of the pool?
That's something we could consider, yeah. We haven't yet, but we can, yeah. I'd have to look how to impact the impervious, but if we maybe made it 18 by 20, or I'm not sure how much that gets us, but maybe it could help removing the patio on the right side, maybe.
Would you say remove the patio on which side?
On the right side.
Maybe I'm just missing it, but where are they building this gravity wall?
The waterfall wall, I believe, is on the right side.
So I see, so this is built up on a little bit of a platform, the pool. You have to level out the backyard to get the sun.
No, I believe that we would have to have steps coming down because it goes lower there, but the area that the pool is being built on, I believe, is relatively flat.
Yeah, the wall in the back is about 2.5 feet.
So he's gonna. Right, there's no railing.
Second.
So just between the wood deck and the patio for the pool, that's your grass area. You don't have another walkway that's going to lead you to the pool?
No, that would be the grass, yeah, correct. Also, I'm not sure if this will help or not, but what we can do too is potentially eliminate some of the driveway since we don't park in the garage. We typically park in the front of the house. We could eliminate some of that driveway leading up to the garage to decrease the coverage. Not sure if that gets us far though, but we're flexible.
A lot of the wood deck that you have, what's underneath it?
There's nothing under there.
Is it gravel, dirt, concrete, asphalt?
I believe it's dirt.
So, both plans.
Good. So what you want to do is like, look at, I want to have that with it too. For somebody else's house.
Yeah. So,
Somehow, yeah, there's something stuck in the pocket?
it seems like your surveyor submitted.
Same
Not
one.
helping the issue.
Yeah.
Same survey.
That's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can have
Or
it.
different application.
Yeah. If you don't have, we're not seeing this, but it's stuck within
The architect must
the
have
architect.
accidentally.
It's complicated enough without. Not part of the.
That's it. Someplace, remove that off, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta put that away earlier.
I saw that hole and I'm like, and then I opened it up again. I'm like,
And I would like to teach you how to fold them all so you can read them.
Sorry about that.
first thing you do with an architecture firm. You know?
Well, I hope the person on page 2 lane is not in front of the board tonight.
That's it.
It's a new street.
Mr. Ogier, just for the record, if my calculations again are correct, it would appear that removing the patio to the right, which is roughly 5 feet by maybe 30 feet, that would be about 150 square feet. 150 square feet would change your numbers by roughly 2%.
Oh, okay.
For your lot size, so removing it might move the proposed lot coverage from 57.8 down to maybe 55,
Okay.
which is still considerably more than the 40 that's permitted.
Understood, thank you. I think we were at 47 too when we bought the house, so it's,
Yeah, there's a lot on this particular piece of property already.
It is fine variances we're considering, correct?
Actually, I think according to my count, there was one that required 2. 1, 2, 4,
Patio setbacks.
5, 6, 7, well, 6. I'm up to 6 variances. Patio setback requires a variance on both sides.
So that would be two, I see, that's for section 150-5.3.
Yes, 6.
So that actually two separate ones would be.
Right. It's the same rule that
Okay.
applies on both sides.
So 6 variances.
Thank you.
No, is it 7? Because of the next one down, 7.5A, 5.3 feet from the side property line and 8.1 feet from the rear property line on the minimum pool setback.
So that would be the same.
Same situation. Yep.
Yeah.
would it make sense to request an adjournment and come back with smaller, like a smaller pool like you had suggested, and maybe no patio?
Does that, counsel, if the applicant were to request an adjournment and come back with a different,
Well, if he came back with lesser variances, for example, if he improved what he handed in, the notice would still be okay. As long as you're not creating any new variants, like if you made the pool smaller but moved it
No,
so that it created a different variance, then your notice wouldn't be sufficient perhaps. We have to look. But if you were just downsizing everything so that one or more of the variances might go away, and one of the, or several of the variances might be lessened in terms of intensity, then the notice would be okay.
And you can see the board is wrestling with the fact that there's 8 variances.
yes, I understand. And I apologize too for all of them.
It's property. We have 5,000 of them in town. And each one, the reason you're here is because it doesn't conform. So this gives an opportunity to look over and see if the rules that we have applied to the entire area are valid, or does your property warrant having something relieved? In this case, it's a lot of stuff going on. When you pass, we usually look at 40% coverage. When you pass 43, 44, it starts to take a toll on the neighborhood. So if you would...
Mr. Chairman, I think you have to check the agendas are very crowded coming up.
You might need some time to work on this.
We have to declare when it's being carried
Yes.
to. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So right now,
April's, yeah.
May pretty much filled. We're looking at June.
It might take you a little while to wrangle this into a format that would be discussable.
I'm going to ask an out-of-the-box question here. If the application was denied, okay, could he just then submit a new application, taking into account the reasons why this one was denied? And
It would have to be substantially different.
okay.
So,
But I think we're sort of dancing around that now. I mean, that's, yeah.
so substantially different is up to the board to decide.
Okay.
So, just so you understand, there's something called res judicata in the law. If this board were to deny this application tonight, you can't come back next month with a different application that's just slightly different and try again. And then you could think that it's very different, but the board has the jurisdiction to look at it and say, it's pretty much the same thing. That's not significant of enough change. Maybe all the same variances are there, but it's just a little bit of a reduction.
Would that be our, first order of business?
Yes, you would
to
be
say we
deciding.
rule on that if it was substantially different?
Correct.
And then we could say, okay, let's go ahead.
Correct. So, but the point of that would be a fruitless exercise and expensive on your end. So you really want to make sure that if that's what the board prefers, is to have a vote on it and have them come back.
Or if we just, I guess, following up on that, if we just granted him a continuance, which I think is what he's asking for, would that be a little less onerous for him?
Yes, because it would
Yeah,
preserve the
okay.
notice so he wouldn't have to spend the money to
Right,
put it in the
okay,
newspaper.
okay,
and
that's,
serve all
I just wanted to
the
clear
Yes.
that part up, okay. So if the applicant is agreeable to a continuance, do we make a motion at some point to grant him a continuance?
Yes, to a point specific.
Okay.
To preserve the notice, like, for example, if somebody wants to know what the outcome was, and they meant to come here today, and they hear it was carried, or they read it in the newspaper and it's carried, they've got to know when it's carried.
Right, and they would have to be re-notified, at a minimum, that you would have to re-notify the 200.
No, you don't have to do that. It would just, that would be it. It behooves them to follow up by looking in the newspaper.
Oh, they'd have to, the onus is on them to determine what happened to the application.
But we have to tell them
So
when it's going to be heard.
When I would publish the happenings of today's meeting in the paper, it would specifically state that this particular application was carried to, or adjourned to whatever language, to a specific date, and then it's up to the person to look at that.
And I'm hoping some of my questions are informing you as to what you're.
You're hearing the areas of concern.
Yeah.
Could you explain to me how that Could you explain to me how that would work in regards to the continuance?
And I'm going to defer to the chairman or the council.
Okay, so you know that you were required to print the notice of the meeting, notice that you were coming here for this meeting in the newspaper, and also you served your neighbors in the 200-foot radius. What this would do would be allow you to, let's say it's the June meeting, and I don't know the date, but off the top of my head, but if it's the June meeting, the board secretary tomorrow or the next day puts together a notice of action taken tonight, and this would be listed and described, like in the agenda, carried to June, whatever the date is, and then anybody who would be interested in finding out or maybe showing up at that point would do so. On your end, it just means that you have to get any new information that you want reviewed into you. What do you require? It's got to be at least 10 days before the hearing date. If a new review letter, do you need more time than that? Sometimes, okay, so it's at least 10 days, no more, no less than 10 days before the hearing, you would get your revised plans in. Again, I caution you, if you show up with a different variance, you're going to have to notice all over again.
No, understood.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. But, so shrinking the pool size, removing patio, that would still fall within the same variances.
Could we use the term mitigating some of these? Might be a little more accurate than just saying shrinking them?
Mitigating.
Mitigating them, you know, to be less over the limits that are prescribed in our zoning
Or a
law.
pool store, is that what's
I did, yeah, the pool boss.
They may have like a landscape architect or somebody on staff that can help you with it. Can you explain?
Okay.
And just some things to be careful of. Driveway, for instance, our definition of driveway is an open area of land paved with bituminous concrete or blacktop, Portland cement, or other durable, hard, dust-free surface which will not wash away in the public right-of-way. So if you just kind of like tear up the blacktop and put rock down, that may be considered by our building department to still be it will be considered, but you can do that?
You can't do that.
You can't do it.
You can't.
Yeah. Now, well, that's what I was saying. You need to be aware that you can't just do that and say, hey, I'm still going to use it as a driveway.
It would have to be grass.
You'd have to be, yeah.
Understood.
Yeah, I think it would make sense to consult with somebody who's familiar with Verona and our intricacies and, you know, who could really take a look at the ordinance and apply it to this. Because there's a lot of things that I could see that you could do. But of course, this is your baby.
I'm open to suggestions.
I mean, we can't coach you, but hopefully we can at least give you the benefit of our thought process. Would that be an accurate way of putting it up to this point, Mr. Chairman?
Yes. And hopefully we were somewhat helpful as far as what direction. I think you have a pretty good idea of what we're looking at, what we're thinking.
Yes.
So if you're okay with deferring, carrying this application to June 13th, we could certainly put a motion on the floor to do that.
Yeah, that would work for me.
Okay. Should we do that?
Okay.
I can make the motion to carry the application to the June meeting 13th, is it? June 13th.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're good. Consider it carried. We'll look forward to seeing you in June. And hopefully we'll be able to discuss.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
All right, executive session. Should we,
Yes, please.
we have?
Oh, wait, is it about litigated matters or attorney-client privilege communication?
No, I don't know if that is.
You want to go into executive session?
Yes.
Well, it has to be for
They have to have a reason.
a reason.
What is there, 7 or 8 reasons, I think, Counselor, if you can,
How about discussing staffing?
That's
That
good.
is an option.
That's an option.
Staffing,
personnel issues?
personnel
Okay.
issues, or is personnel issue, is that the concept?
That's one
Could
of them.
be.
We can make that one of them.
You want to tell me quietly and then I can figure out what the official reason would be?
I mean, I've been around the block on this a few times, I could, from my prior experience, so I can give you a lot of good reasons. Yeah.
Actually, that's one. I can take them back. So the 698, 700, you want to hang on until April?
I'm pretty good at hanging on to my own. Yeah, that's-
I just want to make sure we're not throwing it out.
no, right. No,
Mr. Ryan is not joining us in April.
No,
correct?
unfortunately, no, I am in California for my niece's wedding. Yes.
We're in California.
Big Sur area, something like that? Yeah, right, yeah, nice. Yeah, no, I'm not passing that up for, sorry, guys.
You're going to miss finding out what a liquor access door.
And the cute story to that is I'm actually going to be doing,
I'm going to be a faux officiant because I married a number of people in New Jersey. I can't marry people in California, I can still marry people here.
Okay.
So my niece and her fiance are getting married in the San Francisco City Hall, I think it's April 4th. And then I'm going to officiate at the phony ceremony, which is very nice that they asked me to do that. It's very honest.
New business of concern.
Now, can we move to go to executive session?
No,
No.
no, the one subject was not, doesn't fall under the criteria. The other subject can be discussed in public, potential legislation.
Okay. So my staffing issue shouldn't,
Well, if you have a different issue than what,
What did you tell the council, what's your staffing issue in terms of,
you wouldn't announce the staff changes.
oh, okay, well, that's different. That's a staffing issue, which is opposed to something else.
that should be permissible for.
Yes,
So we can cover
We can go-
Christie's notice and then go into executive
Yeah.
session?
Yes.
Okay. Keep us going.
So there was legislation that Chris wanted to.
Yeah, so, this isn't working, I don't know if it matters anymore, but, so in case you are not aware, there has been some legislation down in Trenton about affordable housing. This proposed bill has been passed through the Assembly, the full Assembly, and it has gone through the Senate Budget Committee, which just passed on Monday. So now it's going to the full Senate, probably next week, maybe. Basically, from my understanding, which is a little bit limited, but it abolishes COA and somewhat gives the control over to the courts to sort of mandate this whole process. It sounds like it's going to have a pretty big impact on builders and their ability to do the, what is it called, builders
Builder's remedy, accessory structures, I know what you're talking about, right?
But it's not just that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole big package. There's
Right.
actually, if you want to look, if there's more information on the New Jersey League of Municipalities website, if you search for that bill, there's a slideshow presentation that kind of outlines the differences. But I just think it might wind up limiting what we can do as a board.
I believe the council, I'm a nut, I still listen to council meetings. I did zoom in on the last council meeting, which was just this past Monday. I believe they did pass a resolution expressing the displeasure of the municipal body with going forward with that particular piece of legislation. So it is, although it was not a unanimous, I think it was a 3-2 vote, but it did pass the resolution to formally send a letter to, I believe, either the state Senate, I think it's in the Senate, it's the Senate bill, to the sponsor of the bill stating the official opposition of the Verona governing body to proceeding with that. Just if that,
It does, it's A4/S50.
A4/S50. Okay.
Review it, and if you have a position on it, make your position known.
Right. Yeah, reach out to the local senators here.
because there was a discussion at the council meeting about actually continuing the discussion and tabling the resolution until a subsequent meeting, but there was a time factor there because this appears to be being fast-tracked by the legislature, so the proponents of passing the resolution immediately were conscious of the time. They felt that if they waited for another council meeting, which is only once a month, that they would be, late to the table. And I also believe the Cedar Grove Council at a prior meeting had also passed a similar resolution in opposition to the way this bill is currently structured. I'll just leave it at that. Now, in all fairness, I don't know all of the nitty-gritty of the bill. It's only what I've read in, different, the league, publications and the patch and, different other online news sources. But it's not been universally embraced, if I can put it that way, by a lot of people. Having been very immersed in the affordable housing situation here in this town for 4 of the 10 years I was on the council, it is a very, serious issue. And just for your edification, in Verona, we should be in compliance until 2025. But if this gets passed, then we now have another set of rules that we have to follow. And quite frankly, the rules that we just came under, the court basically had the final say. So I don't really know why they want to give it back to the court again. It's just that the politicians, pardon me, my French, don't have the cojones to come up with a viable board and a viable set of criteria for setting the numbers for what a town is responsible for in terms of affordable housing. It's a moving target. I mean, and that's, but there should be some way of, other than the builders sitting down with a judge and an arbiter, a special master or mistress, whatever you want to call them, basically sits down with all of the parties, and then you have the affordable. It's not just the builders and the court. It's also the Affordable Housing Coalition, which also gets to say how these proceedings go. I don't know.
The town planner is involved.
Yes.
And the township attorney.
Yes.
It takes a lot of people
Yes.
per town
Yes.
to work that number out.
Yes.
It's
a big deal, and it's a tremendous amount of legal fees
Yes,
involved.
very expensive
Very expensive proposition. So, thank you for bringing it up, Christie. But I guess I don't know if we would, if you wanted to take a position, Mr. Chairman, I think we have to do it tonight, because if you waited until, the next meeting, the horse may already be, out of, if you wanted to do it at all. If you don't think it's necessary, that's fine too. I mean, since the governing body's already stated their, I only threw that in there since the governing body's already stated their opposition, to the bill as currently.
My point in bringing this up is, just to kind of educate us.
Sure.
In the next 10 years or whatever, we're going to see a whole lot of building happening, and we may or may not have any say over what.
No, and this was, to the council's point, this was discussed in open session at the council meeting. There's a very robust discussion amongst the 5 individuals, concerning what some people just felt was just flaws in the bill, and just all of a sudden the way, this affordable housing issue has been around for 20 years, and now they want to fast track a piece of legislation at the tail end of a lame duck session of the legislature. That's my political comment for the evening. But go ahead.
But it's also, just if you look at the timing in that PowerPoint presentation, the requirements of like the deadlines, they are very aggressive.
Yes.
Very, very, very aggressive. Like you have 3 days to, submit a rebuttal or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I might be exaggerating, but not
No,
that much.
With the way municipalities get to things, that's going to be tough.
But 2025 is just around the corner for us. I mean, it seems like it's a long way away, but it's not.
It's 9 months away.
Yeah. And we still don't have a number. See, that's why they're rushing. The next round is 2025, but we still do not have a target number to shoot for. We just ended the 2023 round in compliance between the huge complex that's going up here, and the settlement with the Fair Share Housing Coalition. That's the name of the group that was involved in this. And also the Spectrum property, which is still sitting there. But that's still part of the settlement agreement. And there's also been an area in town designated as a potential area for an overlay zone, if I can put it, that would supersede whatever they come up with in the master plan. The master plan is still currently being, and then we still have to pass the new, hopefully by 2025, there will be a new zoning ordinance, okay? And I won't bore you all to tears, but I just have to give you the whole picture here. The overlay zone is on Bloomfield Avenue, essentially from, I believe it's Montrose, all the way down past, I want to say, what's the next street after Montrose? It probably wasn't one of the names, but it covers the vacant pancake lot area as well. And that sort of, this is my speculation, would be prime for a Montclair-style remedy where they would put a combination retail stores on the bottom, and mixed use, with a certain percentage being affordable, and that's what.
Exclusionary housing.
Exclusionary, yes, okay. And right now, we do have an ordinance in place which does dictate that any development over a certain size has to have at least 15% affordable. That's on the books. It wasn't on the books, unfortunately, when we started the other round, but it's there now. So anybody who comes in has to do that. The Spectrum people bought out their obligation. They took it for $3 million, and that's where they put everything over here. So the Spectrum is low market rate, with the proviso that they gave the town $3 million to put towards the purchase of the land that they.
Is there a threshold of number of units that kicks in that requirement?
Yeah, there is, but I don't know what it is off the top of. Yeah, it has to be a certain size. They're not going to. I guess if it's like a small apartment building, I don't necessarily.
There has to be a certain percentage of 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom,
Yeah.
and 1-bedroom. There also has to be a certain percentage of low, or very low, moderate. There's a sliding scale.
Sure, you're right.
And
The thing that got us bollocksed up in Verona was they changed the way senior housing is. It's Section 8 housing was counted. We thought the hilltop or the hillside complex had us covered for all of our affordable housing obligations. Someone came in and looked at it and said, oh, no, because affordable housing is not Section 8. So they took a whole bunch of the units that were in that complex and eliminated them from our affordable housing cluster. So that's really what put us behind the 8 ball. Had we known that, we would have required Annan. We did not require Annan to put affordable housing in, because at that point, we were told we were in compliance.
there was a big period of time in like 2008 till 2012, say, where nobody was doing anything.
No, they didn't.
It wasn't active. It wasn't actively pursued.
Well, the Fair Share Housing Coalition, and rightfully so, went to court, I guess, because they got tired of the dithering of the Council on Affordable Housing was created and never staffed.
Yes.
So that just sort of sat there until the advocates went to court. The court said, no, we're taking it over.
The whole thing started over 40 years ago, because I was in law school when the
Mount Laurel decision? Yeah.
So that's how I know.
Yeah, okay. So I hope I didn't bore you totally, but that's the whole history of affordable housing here in Verona.
It's good to know, because we're eventually going to be improving houses where people are going to be running with tanks out to their garage. Hot water, cold water, we're good. It's now a house.
And these guys are going great guns. It probably they will start to occupy. I did an article for My Verona on an update on it. By the summer, they're going to complete it in sections. They will probably start putting people in. And if August, September, and people ask the impact on the schools, the court doesn't care about that. That's your problem.
When
I'm just-
How are they drawing the line for those children who are going to be there? Will some of them, most of them go to FN Verona?
I don't know if the Board of Ed has decided that yet, Edith. Unfortunately, that is their problem, not the
Because
council's.
one of the, things about Verona that they're so proud of is that the children didn't have to cross Bloomfield Avenue.
Right, right.
So if they don't change anything, it would be underground, but the Board of Ed can change it.
I mean, hopefully they will phase it in enough that the Board of Ed will have time to react to, to your very valid point. Where do you put the children who are going to be I want to assume there are a mixture, as council just said, of 1, 2, and 3 family bedroom units in this complex here.
Thank you for the update. Anybody want to move to go to executive session for a really short period of time?
For staffing.
So moved on staffing issues.
Richie, just turn us off. Thank you. Okay, as everybody knows, Kathleen is the planning board secretary, the zoning board secretary. Okay,
No official action was taken.
Motion to adjourn.
accepted. Look forward to seeing everybody in April 11th.
The one thing I will tell you, Mr. Steck, who was the planner for the,
You have the record?
yeah.
Okay.
Will you turn it
Or
over?
direct-
Cut it now, Rich.
No, he is a very, I've seen his presentation.